File this under random acts of hostility from the Trump administration. Marco Rubio, U.S. to aggressively revoke visas of Chinese students. Because, hey, why not? The U.S. will aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Wednesday, in an escalation of the Trump administration's conflicts with China and academia. Rubio's announcement did not specify how many students would lose their ability to study in the U.S., but suggested the effort would focus on people with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or those studying sensitive subjects. That's right. Under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. State Department will work with the Department of Homeland Security to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields, he said in a statement. We will also revive visa criteria to enhance scrutiny of all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong. The State Department's targeting of Chinese students reflects how worsening geopolitical tensions between the U.S. and China have poisoned the two nations' long-standing educational ties. It also appeared to catch even some in the government off guard. A consular official speaking on condition of anonymity because of a ban on talking to journalists expressed surprise at the directive, saying U.S. embassies have received no instructions about it. About 277,000 Chinese students studied in the U.S. last year, making them the second largest group of foreign students in the U.S. after people from India. Even if just a threat, Rubio's announcement is likely to decisively end the popularity of U.S. universities and colleges for Chinese students. If you go around Silicon Valley, you see thousands of Chinese students or former Chinese students who are making enormous contributions to the United States, to our entrepreneurship, said Stephen Orlins, president of the nonprofit National Committee on U.S.-China Relations. Revoking their visas will cut off the pipeline and create long-term damage to the United States. Rubio's targeting of the students is the latest in a series of moves in Washington to address the perceived national security threats posed by China through academia. Higher education has long been a focus of the Department of Justice's probes of foreign espionage operations, though not without controversy. The DOJ's now defunct China Initiative, a program launched in the first Trump administration targeting Chinese academics at U.S. universities, was accused of racial profiling and conducting flawed investigative work. Oh, that doesn't sound like the Trump administration at all. Republicans were quick to offer support of the administration's threat to revoke visas. Of course, they were. Senator Jim Banks, America First, with a flag here, quote tweeting Rubio's announcement. Representative Riley Moore, what did you think America First meant? Vibes? Papers? Essays? No, I thought it meant stupidity, self-destructive stupidity, and that checks out because that's exactly what this is.
We understood what it was.
Yeah, I know perfectly well what it is.
We're with you.
Yes, and this is totally consistent with a completely delusional interpretation of what this country is, what it stands for, and what it's capable of. Like, you really look at America and you think, wow, there's great potential here. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm not running for anything. I can say that. Okay? Don't vote for me. I'm not running for anything. I don't need your vote. I just need a platform where I can tell you the truth as I see it. That's all I need.
Words with you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, we need to get all these Chinese students out here so that the next crop of geniuses from this country can fill the void.
You know what? You know what's really funny about this? Because I sent this to you.
Act like this is a fucking brain trust here that we got running on. This is a strip mall. A strip mall of fat morons. That's what this country is. What we can do. We don't need them. I think we do. Actually.
So I was in this beautiful building here, Ellicott Square, and I'm really enjoying the architecture. And I hear this harpy voice. I hear this shrill, piercing voice. I'm like, oh my God, I know that voice. And so they have a TV on with Fox with Batya Ungar Sargon being interviewed.
Right.
And the stuff that she said was just so batshit insane. It was really amazing. So she frames everything as, the elites. Everything I don't like is elite. Everything I don't like is woke. Everything I don't like is elite. That's her spin on it. So she made the remarkable claim that really being against Israel is an elite thing because working class and middle class people are actually very protective of Jews. Now, as a Jew from the working class, I can promise you that's not true. So I
Right.
don't know where I wouldn't say that it's any worse anti-Semitism, maybe a little more open. Probably richer people don't say things like "Jew me down," but working
Right.
class people sure do. I
Yeah.
promise you. So that's just a way of framing everything as, yeah, the Fox audience hates elites. Let's tell them that it's elite to be against Israeli genocide. But then to this point, she goes on because she was asked about this, about Trump going after Harvard to stop international students from coming in. And she said exactly that. I think that we have incredible talent here in this country, right here, and those people deserve those opportunities. Okay, this is part of what's so crazy about that. Aren't the fiscal policies in the bill that Trump's trying to pass going to do everything possible to cut off opportunities for the kinds of people that you're theoretically talking about? Like
Well,
what are they doing? Okay, if you were making a corresponding effort at the same time that you're doing this, and we're going to also give $50 billion to American high schools and junior high schools, some of them in the most underfunded schools and neighborhoods, to help prepare them for the jobs of tomorrow. Now, then you could debate the merit of the policy, but you could say it's an honest policy with some kind of an actual America First agenda. How are you going to, you're doing everything possible to keep people who are down already down.
right.
She's trying to frame it, and they're trying to frame it as, yeah, we're going to get that spunky kid who doesn't have a lot of money, but he has a lot of ideas. What are you doing to help that kid in with any of these policies?
Right, right, exactly. You're not nurturing that kind of an environment here. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. This is a society in decline. And unless you want to steepen that decline, you're going to have to reverse that dynamic before you do a thing like this, assuming you want to do a thing like this. And I'm not saying I endorse a thing like this. I don't personally. But even if you were, it's the same logic with the tariffs. You have to establish a base of manufacturing before you try to impose draconian tariffs on other countries. You have to stimulate some culture of, I don't even want to say intellectualism because that sounds a little snooty and I'm not an academically minded person myself, but curiosity, a culture of some kind of enlightenment before you
Right,
do this. Instead, you have a completely lobotomized culture.
right,
And now
right,
you're going to shut the door on the 250,000 Chinese people who are coming here and crushing it for our companies. What do you think the result of that is going to be? Well, Carl Zahn knows what the result of that's going to be. Good. Ameridumbs finally getting a society they deserve. Yeah,
right.
that's exactly
Yep,
right. That's
yep.
exactly right. It's 100%
Well,
spot on.
and the
Yeah,
the people who have the qualifications that they're talking about, those kids are usually from backgrounds of privilege, and they're getting into college
of
and getting
course.
ahead just fine.
Of course.
Like really the premise is there are people who are being overlooked. Well, you're also not giving those people the tools they would need to fill these slots instead.
Of
So
course.
who's going to benefit from this?
Right. Exactly. So Apocalypsios says, "You're a moron," meaning Marco Rubio. This will only make, or one of the Congress people who, praised this, forget who he was replying to. "You're a moron. This will only make America more like the Flintstones and China even more like the Jetsons." That's right. What is this screen cap of? This is a video of top industrial aesthetics in China. This is Asia's largest refinery in Ningbo City. Ningbo City. Here it is. No sound for copyright
That's
purposes here.
coincidentally, that's Frank Miller's follow-up to Sin City.
There you go. Yes. Ningbo City. Look at this. Look at this. This looks like you're looking 100 years into the future. Anybody know what the population of Ningbo City is? 9.6 million people. This is bigger than the largest city in the United States. I had never heard of it until last night. I would wager more than half the audience has never heard of it. There are places like
I haven't.
this.
I've been looking to travel into China. I never heard of it.
This is what I mean. There are places like this in China that are bigger and economically more significant and more powerful than our largest cities here in this country that we've never even fucking heard of. That we've never heard of.
Right.
And we are going to slam the door on them and think that that is going to immediately stimulate a wellspring of enlightenment and success here. It's completely insane. Now, the Chinese, of course, had
before
something
you,
to say.
just to mention, Hong Kong University, I think that's what it's called. They're jumping on this, man. They've been offering not just Chinese students, anyone who had been accepted to an American elite university who's now been barred from entry to automatically be admitted to their university.
Yeah, well, they're going to take advantage. Of course, that's what that tweet was. That's going to lead to more of this and more decay here in the short term.
Right.
It's the
Right.
same logic as the tariffs. Assuming you even want to do this, and I don't even think it's a good idea at all, you're doing it completely out of order.
Right.
Completely out of order. Okay.
Right.
So here's the Chinese response to this. They lodged a formal protest as U.S. to revoke Chinese students' visas.
意识形态和国家安全为借口。
They talk fast. That's just an observation. That's not a judgment. But I'm going to have to keep up with these subtitles. The U.S.'s unreasonable
They think
decision to
fast.
revoke Chinese students' visas under the pretext of ideology and national security seriously infringes upon the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese students and disrupts normal culture and people-to-people exchanges between the two countries. China firmly opposes this and has lodged a protest with the U.S. Such a politicized and discriminatory action lays bare the U.S. lie that it upholds the so-called freedom and openness and will only further damage its image in the world and national reputation. Yes, that's right. That's right. This is just born of such arrogance. It's just it's so stupid. It's so just self-sabotaging. And these are the characteristics of empires in decline.
Right.
Okay, so let's just think about this. In the name of security and preventing sabotage, right? You're going to close the door on 250,000 Chinese people who leave China and come here to give to this country what they could have given to their own. We're going to say, no, we don't want you because we're afraid that 31 of you might be spies. So we're just going to close the door on 300,000. It's totally insane. This is so stupid. Right. It's so self-destructive. It's so arrogant. And it is born of a delusion that this country is and is equipped to be something that it is plainly not at this point. At this point, it's not. Like, time progresses, and as time progresses, trends accelerate. And the trends of anti-intellectualism, the trends of anti-enlightenment, the trends of underemployment, yes, and despair, and these are all, I don't say this to, like, I know it can sound this way, and I'm okay. I'll take that. Okay, from time to time, I know it sounds like I'm rubbing it in. I really don't mean to rub it in. I'm a populist guy. We're all about class politics here. I don't say this to, like, run the working class into the ground. I say this as an observation. Like, we are not equipped at this moment to shut the door on the world because these trends have accelerated to the point where we are where we are, which is in a state of despair, dissolution, and disarray. And in that sense, I think the plane has really crashed into the mountain. This is why we were as emphatic as we were 10 years ago about the Bernie Sanders campaign, for all of what turned out to be true about him and about the fruits of that movement. The argument we were making is that this is really your last chance to pull up and clear the mountain, at which point you could start building towards something like this. 10 years later, guess what? It's too late for that. It's too late for that. At this point, you can't slam the door.
Even 2020 was too late.
Even 2020 was too late. But now, forget about it. We're in shambles, as our friend Nick would say. We're in shambles, and this is only going to make it worse. It will only make it worse. I promise you. It is plainly obvious.
I look at America and I think of this quote.
I love you, but you are not serious.
Yeah, it's not serious. Exactly. It's just not serious.
And that's all across the ideological spectrum. It's just, the stuff that Parenti talked about that's been done to subvert the left and to get it caught up in nonsense culture war quagmires.
Right.
Same thing has been done on the other side. I mean, you got people fucking who can't sleep at night thinking about freaking Afrikaners. Like it's, I mean, it's, a lot of that I think is intended. It's just a psyop. But yeah, it's really amazing to see them constructing a country that is so much the country that they warned us about, right? You're creating a closed society
Right.
with very strict scrutiny over who comes through the borders, in effect eliminating a lot of the people from coming through the borders. This is what I keep saying. What Trump did, what he's done already, I think that damage is impossible to reverse already. It is very difficult
Right.
to reverse the intangibles of brand destruction.
Yes.
He has destroyed very quickly the American brand. What does that mean? That means open and de facto boycotts of our products all around the world. How long is it going to be before you don't want to be seen with an Apple phone because it's American,
Right.
right? As America becomes a curse word around the world, as it has been building towards for quite a while. In terms for us living here, you think this is going to be a better country when no one wants to come here? Tourists
Right.
don't want to come here. Academics don't want to come here. Students don't want to come here. And yes, immigrants don't want to come here. Motherfucker, you going out in the field to pick strawberries? Really? You going out to pick strawberries? You want to pay for strawberries what you'd be paying? Now, whenever you say that, they say, "Oh, so you're saying it's about the low wages?" It is for you when you go to the supermarket. Like you say you want this, but have you thought through the chain of events that are going to come from it? And let's assume, okay, you're going to get higher pay. From what I understand, those farm workers now, there have been reforms. They have, if they're not being worked illegally, have to be paid a minimum wage as it is. All right, so you think you're going to get a bunch of Americans to go out there and work in the fields for $15 an hour, for 20, for 25? Like that is hard, backbreaking work. And yes, for a variety of reasons, the country is fat, out of shape, and unhealthy, right? Like, do you even have enough people who could go and do these things?
And I'm sorry, intellectually stunted. The same dynamic applies to the PMC and those aspiring to enter the PMC. Trump makes a big deal out of, well, they're teaching remedial math at Harvard, with the implication that they're letting non-white people in there who can't do advanced math. That's what he's really trying to say there. Okay.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen to our curriculum when we slam the door on foreign applicants? Well, you think we're going to get brighter here? Like, what do you think is going to
Like
happen
people
there?
are just going to get smart. That's what I'm saying. The people
Are
are
not just
smart
going
enough
to get
for
smarter because you lock
American.
the Chinese out of the
Yeah,
country. It's
they're
absurd.
already, the Americans who are qualified to go to Harvard, they're usually from rich families. They've
Right.
had all the advantages of test prep and tutors and all of this. They're going to places like Harvard anyway. Right. So who's these new people that don't get in? Like, do you look around at this country and see a bunch of people with that level of talent who are just not being allowed? Now, don't get me wrong. I often felt growing up there were a lot of people around me who, under different circumstances, would have been artists, would have been writers. Like there is definitely a class element where people tend to only think of their opportunities in terms of what they see around them, and they just don't see themselves being that. Now, one way you could get around that is if you give them opportunities to explore that as possibly what their life is really going to be, but they're not putting any resources into that. And this is still a bad idea. This is the communist police state, right? That we were supposed to be terrified of. You can't say what you want, or they're going to deport you. They're going to send you to some foreign torture prison on flimsy premises, extra legally. There's the arbitrary exercise of power, where they ignore the courts and you can't fight the state. Like, isn't this everything they said we're not?
Right.
Supposed to be
Exactly.
the beacon of freedom. Like, what kind of country do you think it's going to be when they've essentially closed the borders, which is the effect of a lot of what they're doing? You're going to live in this country with closed borders.
Yep.
How do you think that's going to play out?
Hey, thanks for watching our video. We're currently raising money to produce our documentary film on the Uhuru movement. Go to givesendgo.com/do dissidents to chip in.
Every dollar you give goes towards the project. We do not take any kind of salary on these. We mostly live on Gatorade when we're on the road, so even solid food is iffy, just enough to get by. But we do not take any pay for this. Every dollar actually goes into what we need to shoot the project. The Uhuru movement is a subject that really deserves more exposure. Everybody heard about it through the court case, and that was an important thing to elevate. But they've done incredible community work demonstrating a different way that is socialist and not dependent on the government at the same time, which a lot of people don't even realize that still exists in the tradition of the Black Panther food and education programs. And to show there is such a strong community like that with such strong leadership is really important, particularly at this historical moment.
Yeah, so we're really excited about doing the project, but we need your help. So go to givesendgo.com/do dissidents to chip in. Thanks very much for your support.
Please clap.